There, now we're all legal. You can't sue me, Mitch.
Nope. I'm well, not for this,
Not
but
for
maybe for
this.
something else. Yeah.
Joining us now from his palatial estate in New Orleans, it's Mitch Wells, filmmaker, comedian, gadfly, and bassist of Thou.
What is a gadfly? I've never
I
heard
don't
that
know.
before.
I think it's like a cool
I'm
guy.
into. Oh,
He
okay,
just feels
cool.
like a cool guy, I think. Yeah.
Hey, you
Uh,
gadfly right back at you, buddy.
I feel like we need to address the T-shirt.
Oh yeah. Well, so it's flipped, right? It's not.
You
It's
anticipated being reversed.
yes. I thought that's how it worked on Zoom. I guess not. So I drew it backwards so it would be right side for you.
This is incredible. I am so
You know what?
honored.
Hold on one second. Hold on. It's still recording. Hold on. Let
Yeah,
me
yeah.
hide this real quick. Let me try this.
Oh, I feel like I know what you're gonna do.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, hold on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
this is a G-rated show. We don't want to have any
Right.
nips.
I don't want to.
No wardrobe malfunctions.
It's all right. It's gonna be harder to see. Is it?
Yes,
Is that
beautiful.
right?
That's
Okay.
correct.
I'll touch it up later, or just wear it inside out for now. God, I was like, and I did the K back. I was like, oh shoot! And I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh, I gotta change that now. This is what a
Do you
disaster. Well,
remember the woman? It was one of those Black's Rule incidents where a woman tried to claim that she was assaulted by people and held down, and they carved a bee into her face, but it was done backwards, so it was very clear that she did it to herself.
no, I did not remember hearing
It
about
was
this.
one, yeah, yeah.
But of
All right.
course, oh my god.
But of course,
Yeah.
yeah, brilliant,
Well,
brilliant.
it's good to see you,
Well,
man. This is cool.
it's good to see you too, bud. We touched base recently again because you did a movie night that featured Friday the 13th, and if people don't know, my old man was the screenwriter of the original movie, and so
So
we had him do
sick.
a little video introduction to the film.
Dude, I can't even tell you like how well that went over and how cool it was. Like I'm new to this group too. Like I've been doing it for like maybe 2 months. I was invited by
Yeah.
one person, so I don't really know anybody in this group. I'm just like slowly getting to know them. We do this every Friday. Watch a horror movie, talk about it. Sometimes play games and like make shorts. It's super fun. I was like,
Mhm.
damn, it'd be so cool to surprise them Friday the 13th. I like knew your pop wrote it, and I was like, just take long shot, but he came through, you came through, and man, they loved it.
It was so great because
Huge hit.
I didn't really give him any direction. I was just like, yeah, say hey to my friend Mitch and his friends. And
Yeah.
he told my favorite anecdote, which is the fact that when they tried to pump the blood through Kevin Bacon's fake neck, which they took them, he left this out of the story. I think Kevin Bacon had to sit in makeup for 6 hours to
Uh-huh.
build the fake neck. And he's like this, he's sitting with his head at a
Right,
90
right,
degree
right.
angle like that for all that time. And so they didn't have the budget or anything to do a second take. So this guy threw
That's what he
himself on
said.
the grenade. And when the blood pump broke, he got down there and blew the blood through the hole in the arrow. Like
When
with
that
his mouth.
happened in the movie, everyone in the chat was like, now we know what's happening beneath this body. And they thought it was like so cool, which it is so cool. I mean, to know that. Also, a
Some
real fun
serious inside baseball.
right. A real funny thing about the video is that the group is called Horror Nerds, and it's like a real nerdy
Mm-hmm.
thing. But your dad did a super cute thing and said, "Hello, horror friends," and it like everyone loved that. It was like just good enough. So like the next flyer that was made after that for the one we're doing tomorrow, it says Horror Nerds, and then in like the blurry shadow behind it says Friends. So it's like a whole new thing
Yes.
that caught on thanks to your dad. So that's cool.
Amazing. I told
Yeah.
him the name of the group was Horror Nerds, but he's like, I'm not saying that. I,
Yeah, that's
I will
fine.
not cast aspersions upon these fine people.
Very kind of him.
Also a Louisiana native. I don't know if you knew this, but my dad's grandparents lived in New Orleans for a long time. My grandfather was on the cotton exchange, and he was a cotton broker down
Whoa.
there.
Okay.
They when I knew my dad didn't grow up here, but when I knew them, they lived in a place on Charters, right off of
Uh-huh.
Jackson Square.
Oh,
And my
cool.
dad, spent his whole youth there growing up, and that's the
Yeah.
reason I ended up at Tulane because of all my family
Right.
mixed.
You went to college here. How long
Yeah,
did you live here for?
I
Just
lived there
college
for
years?
5 years. Yeah. The
Uh-huh.
4 years that I went to school, and then 1 year after that. And then this was during like peak David Duke time. So we needed to get the
Wow,
fuck out.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, 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 for
we
sure.
would
I remember that time.
like 6 or 8 or 10 of us maybe would like march in Jefferson Parish against David Duke, and we'd get like garbage thrown at us. And I was
Sure.
like, okay, we
Yeah.
need to go somewhere that's a little more accommodating to my
Yeah.
people.
Different time back then to be marching for the right reasons. More marches happening for the wrong reasons back then.
Indeed, indeed, yeah.
Yeah, not a good time.
Well, enough about my personal history and other things that people don't care about. Let's talk about some bass playing stuff, man.
Bass stuff, love it.
Huge theory nerd, just a huge like. You went to Berklee College of Music, right? All that stuff.
Yeah, if we're at practice and somebody does not bring up like a Mixolydian scale, I'm not listening. Yeah, I'm not paying attention. You know
Which is like, yeah, yeah. What mode is that, please,
which
Matthew?
are we doing Egyptian reverse modes today, or I barely know what I'm talking about right now. I can not even enough to keep this joke going. Oh my god.
Well, let's talk about it. How did you get started playing bass? Are you one of those people who like got assigned bass as in their first band, or is
Yep.
that what happened?
Yes. Well, not even for I had no interest in like playing music. I was never it was high school. My best two friends were playing guitar and drums with each other all the time.
Mhm.
And I was like, that's cool. Y'all are doing your thing. I was like skateboarding and doing whatever. And they were like, oh, you should go buy a bass because bands need bass players. And I was like, okay, sure. And a friend of mine happened to be selling a shitty 5-string bass. I don't even remember like what it was. Uh, Terrible 5-string bass and a practice amp. And I was like, cool. And I think my dad bought it for me for like $150. And neither of those guys are playing music anymore. And here I am being interviewed about freaking bass. So it all worked out.
Did
Yeah.
that ever turn into a band situation? Did you guys just like jam in the garage?
No, just I mean, maybe 2 or 3 times with those dudes, and then it was like, oh, this is really fun. And my dad played music. He was in like some Leonard Skinner cover band growing up or something. Yeah.
Damn. What
So he was
instrument?
like guitar. Yeah. So he was like a music guy, and so when I got the bass, he'd be like, let me try that thing, and he'd be like, boop, 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 boop. And I was like, damn, okay, I suck at this. But it was like cool because he would just teach me stuff, and like show me how to play. Uh, and then slowly I got like a little bit better, like just good enough to where like some dudes at school were like, well, come jam with us. And then that was like the first band situation.
Cool. Were those
Yeah.
thou adjacent people, or was it thou at that point?
Not thou at that point, thou adjacent. That was the first band I was in was called Ground View. And it was like a bad funk rock, but like super fun, like high
Yeah.
school time. Uh, but the thou adjacent stuff was Ground View was like a band, the funk rocky band. Stanley's Car was the ska band, and then Effigy was the metal band, and that was Matthew and Andy, two other guys in Thou.
Gotcha.
Effigy became Translation. They had a synth player. They didn't have a bass player. They had a synth player. Us three bands would play together all the time at my parents' house. That was like the place to play shows. We did house shows like every other weekend. 200 kids would show up. My mom would cook food. My dad would be in the front yard directing like where to park in the yard. It was sick.
Incredible.
Yeah. So Andy and Matthew are always over at the house. Everybody's over at the house. So when their synth player got kicked out or quit because his girlfriend said he couldn't do it anymore, they were like, hey, we need a bass player. Mitch, you can play bass. Come join and learn these translation like metal songs. And I was like, cool. Learned a bunch of metal songs. I was like, this is fun, but I'm not really good at it. And they were like, all right, new band. Andy moved from drums to guitar. The guitar player left. We got this other dude that I was friends with in high school to play drums. And that was like the beginning of Thou. Yeah, so it was like, it all started house shows at my folks' place.
That's amazing. I have such fond memories of, I think the first time, it probably wasn't the first time I saw you guys, but the first time that Kowloon played with Thou was
Uh-huh.
at Tupac's Hideaway in Baton Rouge.
Two-Box Bungalow.
Jukebox Bungalow, right?
Yes.
That
Yes.
was such an amazing show. I remember Andy made us Zatarans, red beans and rice, which I always appreciate. And
Sure.
I don't know if you remember this, but my wife and I back in Oakland, we were buying a house at the time,
Uh-huh.
and we needed to like do the closing on the house. And
Okay.
so a notary came to the show.
I don't
You have
remember.
I
That's
know
so
Andy
funny.
remembers this, but a fucking
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
notary, like a notary, and she was like, the higher the hair, the closer to God, like proper
Sure.
Southern woman
Yeah.
notary, like like a matching ensemble came in, like
Uh-huh.
had me sign paperwork at the house show. It was
That's amazing.
such a good memory.
Incredible.
And the
Yeah.
show was
That
sick. That show fucking went off.
Tupac's Bungalow had like a bunch of good shows. That was during a time when Baton Rouge had like that place. There was another like two or three houses in like a 6 block radius or something that were like if one place couldn't do it, they'd holler at the other and be like, "Can you take over for tonight?" Or just pass them along. It was awesome, and like everybody would come out to every show. It was a good time. It was like a good time for y'all to come through.
It was great. And Baton Rouge is kind of a company town. I mean, if it's not government, it's the university. Those are like the only two
Right.
games in town, right? So
Yes. Yeah.
it's all in the shadow of LSU and tons of
Right.
kids around and
Yeah, it's like there's not a lot to do if you're not drinking or going to a football game.
yep.
So all the punks and all like the weirdos would be like, okay, well, there's shows happening at this place called Tupac's Bungalow. I guess we'll go there. And then it just like caught on. It was great.
So much fun. Let's talk about this bass.
Okay, that you
I,
hate.
I don't hate it. I bust
That
your
you hate.
balls
You can
about it
say
a
it.
lot. No, I don't. I don't actually hate it. I love that you play the Warwick. Is it a dolphin?
No, this is
Is it
the
a
thumb.
thumb? It's a thumb.
This is the thumb.
Now, I think if people know you at all, they know you're a 311 guy, big peanut guy, right?
I mean, yeah, hell yeah.
Is that why you have the thumb?
Yeah, of course. I got this when I was 17 or 18.
So was this the
Like
second bass after the crappy 5 string, or was there something in
this
between?
was the third bass after the crappy
What
five
was the
string.
middle position?
Oh, it was like oh fuck, what's it called? It's what's the EMG EN something basses? I don't know. I'd have to look it up. It was terrible. It was another crappy like
Okay.
super cheap thing. Um, and I think a friend actually just loaned it to me for a while and then got like he was like, here, you can use it. I don't play it, but one day I'll ask for it back. And I was like, okay,
Right.
cool. And this was like I remember giving it back to him with the back because I did the back being all scratched up from like my belt buckle, and he was
Sure.
so pissed. And I was like, dude, you don't even play. Who gives a shit? Anyway, that dude sucks. But then I got in this car accident and got like a pretty bad car accident, had to go to physical therapy and got this insurance check. And with the whole insurance check, I was like, I'm gonna buy a bass. And I just like bought this. It was very like way too expensive. Never would have been able to get it otherwise.
Mhm.
But I was like, yeah, this is the dream. This is what Peanut plays. This is what it looks like the dude Norwood from Fishbone plays. And
Oh
like
yes.
they all play, all the bands I love play Warwick. So I was like, yeah, sure, of course.
I had a Spectre briefly that was like it's very sort of reminiscent of the world. I feel like basses of that era. It was the Spectre. Stuart Spectre was the person to sort of pioneer the weird body shapes and
Uh-huh.
like the super low action that dudes love to slap on. I feel like Warwick
Yeah.
definitely came out of that tradition. I bought that Warwick somewhere in Metairie too.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was a New Orleans bass purchase because we were rehearsing somewhere in a friend's garage uptown, and the garage got broken into, and all of our stuff got stolen a week
Damn.
before we were supposed to open up for Fugazi at Storyville. So we all had to
Wow.
plan all borrowed equipment that night.
Yeah. Oh, what a dream to play on borrowed equipment.
I did get to play Joe Lally bass though, which was super cool.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Not so bad.
I didn't realize it at the time, but like, what if he just like showed up at a show, like you're on tour, 1,500 miles from, or I guess 1,000 miles from where you grew up. And then the bass player of the band just rolls up and is like, hey, all my stuff just got stolen. Can I use your entire rig?
Yeah.
Joe was the sweetest. Like, he was like, of course, no problem.
Great.
But I just can't imagine being on the other side of that today and being that
Yeah,
kind.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'd definitely be giving that dude some side eye.
Right. I mean, stuff being stolen is one thing. It's like, all our shit got ripped off.
Yeah.
I literally don't have anything.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, sure. But I mean, I've sadly, but admittedly, have been in a position where I was like, my stuff's just like a little broken. Can I use yours?
Yeah.
But it happens. Everybody goes through it at some point.
I do remember one show in Sacramento that we were playing. The bass player came in and said to me, literally, I don't feel like loading in my stuff. Can I use
Oh
yours?
no,
Like it's outside,
no.
but I just don't feel like.
Yeah.
And at that,
Yeah,
I don't remember what I said. I probably
yeah.
told him it was fine, but then like mean mugged him all night.
Right. I mean, the 810 fridges. It's like if one's inside already, look, the conversation has to be had. Like,
Right.
can we use it? Can we save that trip?
Yeah.
And if we're loading in, I'm always like, yeah, absolutely, you can
Of
use
course.
that. Say, that sucks. It would be great if you helped me load it out, or if you want to load it out,
Yeah.
there you go.
And especially
That's
because
great.
those things are indestructible. It's not like anybody's
Yeah,
gonna break it.
yeah.
No, you could.
Right.
They're bomb proof. So let's hold. I got to see the Warwick again.
Okay.
There's some funky things about this. You play it real high, and you play fingerstyle, which nobody in metal is really doing these days. How
Right.
did you develop this style, and why have you stuck with it
It's
when everybody
that
else does something different?
it's that funk rock upbringing, the like jazzy, Andy Gibbs, who plays in Val, plays
Mhm.
guitar, basically taught me how to play music in high school. We were in like, he was a couple grades above me, but during lunch every day, we would all be jamming in the band room, and he just like taught me how to play. And he was in jazz band and all these things, and I was like trying to be in jazz band. So all of that stuff just like started at the beginning and then kind of stuck. Playing the reason I play it so high is because, I mean, it started kind of with this. The neck is so long, and if it's low, you got to reach way down, and I'm just not. I don't know. Didn't feel good. Also, I just think it kind of looks cool. And Les Claypool played real high, and
Yeah.
he's good. So if he's doing it, it's got to be cool. But then eventually, it just started to like feel more comfortable and felt better for me, and it just made sense. And the finger stuff, I play with a pick sometimes. It depends, but I think yeah, it's just that's how I learned, so it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree with all of that. If you're playing with a pick, it's a little bit different, but playing fingerstyle, I feel like you should, for maximum technique,
Hmm.
the bass should probably hang where you play it when it's sitting on your leg when you're seated. More or
Right.
less what you're doing, I guess.
Yeah.
But I can't it's the peer pressure that gets me. I gotta lower it down because
It
I look
does
like
look
a nerd.
cooler
Yeah.
now. I do think it looks cooler. And there are days where like we did Val did this like full Nirvana tribute set one day, like costumes and everything. For that, I like dropped it way low to like
Right.
fit. And I sucked. I like like just messed up the whole time. Like it's not hard stuff, just strumming away
Right.
Nirvana bass lines, but it was like just the angle of my hand was different. It just threw everything off. So
Yeah.
now it's like just a comfortable thing.
Yeah. Well, Nova
Yeah.
Novoselic, like famously, like he was 7 feet tall and played the bass like down at his knee.
Yeah.
He
Ridiculous.
looked cool as fuck.
He did look cool.
Yeah. Is there anything you wish you'd known early on in your career that, or your learning of bass that you've come to learn that you wish you'd known day one?
Yeah, I think probably okay, so I'd say like if I could go back and be like, yo, Mitch, less is more, dude. You don't have to fill every moment with some slap thing or some cool line. Like sometimes just let it breathe, like
Hmm.
chill. That'd probably be the thing. I used to try to like play so much because I mean, mostly because it was fun and I was just excited and didn't really care about like the song. It was more about
Hmm.
the playing and selfishly trying to. And this is not so much that. I'm thinking like kind of before that when I was like getting started. But yeah, just like relax, take it easy, step back.
When you're writing with Val,
Uh-huh.
since Matthew and Andy are covering so much of that low end with their regular guitars, do you find that it's difficult to find places to fit in?
Okay, this is like been a point of contention in Thou for years, which
Mhm.
is they play so low. So I'm like, well, I get to go a little higher and like have fun and do stuff. And
Yeah.
they're always like, no, you also just play low. Like we all just play low.
Just
And I'm like,
unison
it's
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Which, it's still a conversation we have. They have to be like, there's a low string for a reason. It's there.
Yeah.
You can use it.
But couldn't
Uh,
you say the exact same thing about there's a high string for a reason? Like I see you add your little flavor, your little sauce, and I'm
yeah.
always here for it. It's like, especially if you guys are just like, doing like some burly unison thing on a low
hmm
string.
Yeah,
When you
that's
do that high
one
feature,
thing.
it's like really interesting and dynamic.
Right.
Super cool.
Right. That's what I think. It's like something to stand out. Also, just I'm not like a metal player.
Hmm.
I'm not like a doom person. Like I enjoy that kind of music, but it's not stuff I like just put on. It's
Hmm.
not what I grew up with. So I don't really know it to like, oh, this is how it's done. I was more of the like jazzy, funky rock punk stuff where it's like, let's, play real fast and high and like kind of goofy, like just goof off with it, like have fun. So it was like a learning curve for me for sure.
Yeah.
And it's still, I guess, hasn't stuck.
Well, I think that's one thing that sets you guys apart. I mean, there are plenty of bands who do the aping Black Sabbath thing,
Right.
very well.
Sure.
Um, and I think that, I mean, especially with the more recent releases, you guys have spread it out even further. But like one of the things that's always been interesting to me about you guys is that you bring different influences to that style of music, and it's what makes you
I
guys
hope
cool and
so.
interesting.
I hope we're still doing that. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, that's the goal. But also just like, and you probably know this, just playing the like root of a heavy like southern riff is boring. Like you don't want to just do that for a whole song. That's
Right?
yawn town, dude. Like
No, I have.
it's fun.
It's funny because I have the same discussion with Scott,
Uh-huh.
the main dude in Kowloon. Like he's not necessarily telling me to just hold it down, but it's like when I try to add, it's been this tension in the band the entire time. And again, I think it's much like that's what makes you guys interesting. I think this makes us interesting. I'm always trying to add melody, and Scott's always trying to keep it out.
Uh-huh.
And so
Yeah.
there is this tension, and like when I play something, I look over at him, and he's not grimacing at me. He's not giving me the side eye. I'm like, cool, I got away with one,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Snuck it in. Yeah,
which is
for
super
sure.
cool. Is it something in the water that makes you guys play like that, like the I Hate Gods and the Crowbars of the world? Like,
I mean,
I
it's gotta be something like that. It's
you play real
over the
slow because
years,
it's
yeah.
it's too hot to play fast.
Yeah, it's when we started the band, it was before Brian joined and started
Hmm.
screaming. Matthew was singing, and back then it was way more like post-rocky, kind of shoegazy, lots of delay
Hmm.
and singing, and it was like uh, Pelican was a big influence, Isis, bands like that. And then Brian joined, which him just screaming instead of Matthew singing is going to fundamentally change the way the band sounds. And so Matthew and Andy really started delving deep into like heavier bands and just becoming more aware of them, I think, led to like, okay, well, let's try this. And then, of course, I mean, everybody around here, not, I say everybody, but not me. I did not like grow up listening to I Hate God or anything. But they sure did. And Agents of Oblivion and all those, the Southern like metally bands.
Hmm.
I remember we played a show at this very small Baton Rouge club with a band called Goat Whore. Do you know
Hmm.
Goat Whore?
Of course, yeah.
And they were like, "We're playing with Goat Whore. This is gonna be so cool." And I was like, "Who? what? What? Okay, great. This is so cool." Uh, so they were like super into that, and it's something they just grew up with. And I think it's like those are the local heroes that just grow up with. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the current trajectory of Thou. Y'all just dropped. I think. I hope you don't take this wrong way. I think your best record. I
I
mean, I'm
think so
paying you
too.
a tremendous
Thank you.
compliment. The Emma Ruth Rundle Thou collaboration record, which I think is amazing, not just because it has Emma Ruth Rundle, who I think is just an incredible artist,
Phenomenal. Yeah.
um, but it's some of y'all's most interesting instrumental songwriting, I think. And just the, with Emma's vocals,
Yeah,
and I, I can't say enough about how the record is transcendent. I loved you guys before. I love like the, Tyrant era stuff
thanks.
a ton. But do you guys feel like you've reached a new level?
This, thank you for saying that. It's very nice. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely personally just more the stuff I'm interested in like listening to.
Yeah.
Like I said, like I did not grow up listening to all the heavy, super like doomy stuff. I enjoy playing it, love doing it, but this does feel like a special thing. It's just we were writing more for Emma and she was kind of writing more for us. And I
Mm-hmm.
think somehow we just found the middle ground and it worked.
Yeah.
Uh, her vocal, like the way she sings is so incredible. Also, we got a new member, KC, who
Yeah.
sings on my favorite song, Monolith, and like wrote that song. So that was like a whole other thing too, having them come in. Tyler, Tyler playing drums.
Yeah.
Having him there for the whole writing process was a whole new thing. So it's just like the process of it was so fun and new. It was like it felt special is such a cheesy word, but it felt special like
Yeah.
right from the get-go. Yeah, I
I think
think it
it
is
would be.
something.
Sorry, I think it would be cheesy in other contexts, maybe, but the record really is special. I think watching people respond to it has been really gratifying. As someone who's
Yeah,
been a champion of your band for a long time, and
seems to be going well.
it's awesome. I couldn't be happier for you guys. I couldn't be
Thanks,
more proud, and like I couldn't. The record is just. I love listening to it.
appreciate it.
You guys do have this sort of what's the elastic lineup. So you added KC.
Yeah,
Initially they were like a touring member, I feel like, but now they're a
uh-huh.
permanent member. But you also have these auxiliary folks who come in and out, and so it just seems like what is that sort of flexible lineup like, and how do you decide who does what and where?
The only really flexible thing I would say is probably I mean it's sort of like Fifth Beatle. Emily McWilliams,
Mm-hmm.
Brian's partner, plays piano and write and sings on a like has been doing that for most of our releases. Basically a member of the band. It's less like the lineup is now the core lineup. Casey, Tyler in the band. They've been in it for a couple of years now. I
Yeah.
think Casey about a year or two. Auxiliary players are more just like who is around that we like and would like to have on something. And it's who's available and is
Mm-hmm.
free the day we're recording if we come up with some idea. Like on the collab, our friend Lewis from Lost Bayou Ramblers, this like Grammy nominated Cajun band from down here.
Dang.
He plays fiddle. We got him to play like fiddly violin stuff on the last track of the album, and he was just like happened to be free and come by. He heard the song that day,
Yeah.
and like just played around for a little bit and figured something out, and that was it. So it's really like who's free, who do we like, and who can just show up right now.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, I think I dream about having a sort of a musical family like that. Like that's
Uh-huh.
been long been a dream of mine. And I feel like I haven't necessarily achieved it, but like when I do my solo stuff, sometimes I'll really sort of like do a stretch goal. I'm like, well, I wonder if this person would do something on my record.
Right.
And sometimes they say no, but when they say yes, I'm like incredibly gratified.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Sure.
it's I feel like I've had a glimpse into that world, and it's always so cool to have somebody like that on board.
It's fun. It's just like an exciting thing having somebody. It's also and it feels like a little childish, but if you write something you think is good enough to record, getting somebody to come in and do that, you get to show them this thing. You're like, this is cool, right? And if they like it and want to do it, it's like, oh, that feels so good. Like you like this thing we did. That's awesome.
Yes.
Which feels, a little like validation, seeking validation, but who gives a shit? I mean, it feels great when somebody is like, yeah, this is great, I'll do this.
That rules.
So that's a good feeling.
Awesome. What is the rig currently after we play the Warwick? Where does the signal go? Now the overdrive pedal is ODB3 or something else?
3, yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. I mean, it's a beast.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with something called the ODB, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that's it. I mean, we don't really need much else. I don't play clean hardly ever. It's
Right.
all pretty much distorted. So it's just straight up.
I
Keep
get
it simple.
getting the feeling you're not like a huge gear hound. But is there a piece of equipment that you've parted with or that you've destroyed in the past that you wish you could have back?
Uh, Definitely not a big gearhead. It's more like not necessarily gear, but there are times where there will be a sound I have in mind, and I don't know if it's through God or Les Claypool or what, but I'll just like be able to tune in this like perfect, and it's in it. And you know what it is? It's basically the way your bass sounds all the time. Just this like perfect, crunchy but clear, like round, heavy tone.
Damn.
And I every now and then I'll be able to get it, and then I'll lose it, and I don't know how I got it or like what was going on, but something just feels right, and I'm like, oh, this sounds perfect. And then a couple practices later I'll be like, it sounds just like muddy warble again. I don't know what I did, but it's good while I have it. So it's not gear, but it's just like, I guess, settings,
Yeah.
that I'm constantly playing with until I get it just right.
Cool. Yeah, I don't, there's no secret apart from playing a long time. It's that rusty box, man. The rusty box
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
it
Yeah.
gets that there's enough clank and grr in the sound, but it's still like really clear and still has all the ass
Right.
end.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Thou has done, aside from this record, which we recorded a while ago, we haven't like done anything since then, except for a couple like silly covers. But I need to invest in like some more stuff, just for fun, just like play around and try something new. Yeah, maybe get one of those rusty boxes. I think it'd be cool.
You can only make so many clever videos in which you play 12 different characters during
That's right.
quarantine.
I know. I got to start doing something else. I did one of those videos today, and I was like, I don't know if I got a lot of these left in me. I think I'm hitting the end of it. Yeah. We'll see.
I know I have one. Do you have a just like a go-to Soundcheck riff, like you plug into at a new venue? Do you always rip off the
Yeah.
same riff? What is it?
Yeah. Okay. Play it. Here's the
Let's hear
little
it.
thing.
Let's hear it.
It started as like a joke, but now everyone in Now plays it. So it's like it's this. It's stupid. It goes like this. That's it. So, and then I did that at one sound check. Matthew and Andy started laughing, so they're like losing it. And they're like, well, how do you play that? And then they started playing it. And so it became a thing where we would all play it together for like a heavy sound check. We do other stuff too, but
yeah,
play it. And then after you do one run through it, you just switch to a random fret. All of us switch to different ones and just see what it sounds like. So it'll be like, and then
so it's like
be
jazz harmonies.
Yeah. And we'll just see like how it sounds and what happens, and it just cracks us up at every
That's
time.
gnarly.
Yeah, so funny.
One band I'm in, we sort of had a similar thing where we would all just try and like rickroll the other members of the band. You'd be like, okay, so I have this concept for a new song, and you have to be like really earnest and like say how long you've been working on it and stuff, and then you play the riff from My Own Worst Enemy by Lit.
That's a good bit.
Yeah, and so once you do it enough times, people start to you end up telegraphing it. But if you do it really well and you get people,
you save it up.
Very, very satisfying.
I love those little inside band jokes. That's like super funny to you guys, and it's like
and nobody else
thing that we do. Yeah. There's like, I think the one that we do in Thou that I really like. We'll just be like in the middle of a song, and either me, Matthew, or Andy will I'm not wearing a strap right now, but we'll drop bring the strap to our neck, right? So it's like hanging like this. And then we'll do like the corn thing where we bend over like this, and we'll just look over and somebody's like playing like that, and just like playing the song, and you're not paying attention to it, and then you look over and see that, and it's like the funniest thing.
They fucking got you.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
so
like
good.
I've seen you do that before, but I didn't realize it was a bit. It just looked like you were super into it.
Oh no, that's definitely a bit. if we're hunched over halfway, we're like joking, trying to make each other laugh. Oh,
incredible.
yeah.
I love it. Is there an iconic Mitch Wells bass line? Is there like a Thou bass line that people associate you with?
No, I don't think so. There are bass lines in Thou that I think that I was like, oh, I'm proud of this, or it's cool that I was able to like sneak this into this riff somewhere. But that was more of like a riff guitar riff, if we're riffing, other than just like sludging away. So I don't think there's one of like, oh, that's a Thou bass line, that's the one. I don't know. I don't think so.
Is there something you can play for, something that you're proud of that you can demo for us here?
There's a little part in oh god, this keeps on. What's it called? The first song on Summit. Oh, I can't think of the name of it right now. But there's like this pretty jangly drum thing, something like that happening.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a pretty part, and it goes like this. It's like, oh fuck, now I'm not gonna. Wait. And it gets real heavy, and I played it very poorly just now, but it's like a fun thing to sneak in. It like feels real smooth when it happens, which is cool. Yeah.
There's somehow you bring a sort of a fretless quality to a fretted bass, and I don't know how to explain that. Like, there's just a smoothness to your playing that feels fretless when it isn't. I don't know if that doesn't make any sense, but like,
that sounds cool. I'll take any sort of something that stands out. I'll take it. That sounds great. Yeah,
awesome.
Cool.
Is there a stupid trick that you can teach me that can make me a better bass player today?
Oh no, you are like by far a way better bass player than I'll ever be. But I saw the question, and okay, so the one thing, and I just stole this from Les Claypool, but you probably do that. You play with a pick all the time, right?
No, I play a lot of fingerstyle stuff actually.
You play fingers too? Okay. Yeah. The one thing that I like don't see a lot of people do if they're playing with their fingers is, and it's going to be so common, like anything I say to you, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I've done that 100 times. But the one thing is like, it's the Les Claypool, when you're playing to chord, use that, hit it.
Almost flamenco style.
Yeah. And it just hits that real fast, and you can like move around with it. And I don't know, when I learned that, I was like, oh, you can chord and then like just kind of slap it and keep playing. It sounds great, and I don't know, it feels good. But again, I'm sure you've done that on like 10 albums already.
I mean, I know of the technique, but it's not something I ever practiced, so I actually can't do that.
Oh yeah.
You remember how was it like a Les Claypool thing that you saw?
Yeah. I was just nerding out when I like started playing bass and like getting really into it, and like looking at not just him, but all the bass players like that. Norwood Fisher was a big one, the Fishbone bass player. That dude is so sick at bass.
Incredibly underrated. I mean, that band,
just incredible.
Everybody in that band is a monster.
Yeah.
And I feel like that band is wildly underrated, and all of them as players, like incredible. And the live show, come on, ridiculous.
Dude, I've seen them a handful of times, and each time it's like one of the best show I've ever seen. It's incredible. But anyway, looking at that dude, and then let's go, just like, what do they do that's so good? And that was one thing that stuck. And I was like, oh, I can use that in Thou when we play heavy stuff and hit the chord there or something, So that's something.
Doesn't Norwood also play the bass somehow down by his knees? Like,
yeah, and like slaps the hell out of it.
How?
I don't know. No idea. Way low. It's just like the weird.
Yeah, that dude
Yeah,
is superhuman.
he's a
Amazing,
monster.
amazing player.
He's giving bass lessons on Zoom now to just like for like $30 an hour or something to people as like a quarantine. I think like I'm bored, I'll
Yeah.
do this, and I want to do one, but not to I guess get a lesson to just be like, yo man, I love you. I think you're so good. Just to like talk to him for a little while, you know?
Yeah. It'd
Yeah,
just be like
maybe I'll do that.
hiring a prostitute, but really you just need somebody to talk to.
Yeah, exactly.
A
Yeah,
sex worker, sorry.
totally. A sex worker. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But
Which
just
is
because
basically what bass players are, you know, man. You know what I'm saying?
the sex workers of rock and roll. Kink.
Yeah.
All right, last question, Mitch, before I let you go. Do you have one absurd story from the road? I know you guys have played a lot, toured a lot in Europe and in the States.
Yeah.
Have you guys
Absurd
gone to
story.
Asia, Australia, anything like that?
No, we were supposed to do Australia and New Zealand in August, but freaking COVID
Fuck.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, our first time over there. Never been to any Asian countries, which is a huge bummer. Hopefully one day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
been
have, do
to
you have a
Europe.
goofy story?
We've got a ton. There's just like a general tour story that's real funny.
Yeah.
Man, okay, there's one that comes to mind, and this might just be a thing that's like funny to us in the moment, but we played this show. This was like early on in Val touring. Played this show. We go, we pull up to this house that we're playing the basement of, and these two guys come to the door, and they're wearing like cut off jean shorts, and their boxes are hanging out, and they just look like unusual guys. And one of their heads was like just looked a little smaller than it should have been. And our buddy Derek on tour with us immediately called him Crush Head, and and I think it was like Brian or Terry, our old drummer, at the door, and you know, we're like they're talking, and the rest of us in the van, and he's just being like, "Hey, we're here. Can we let out somewhere?" And we're doing that thing where you see people talking and you do the voice for them of what they're saying, and he's like, he goes, this is part of the story. He goes, "Hey, my name's Crushhead. Y'all here to get sucked real quick?" It's so stupid. It's so stupid. But it's like one of those things we still say
Oh
to
my
this day. On y'all here to
Yep.
get sucked real quick? Okay, so we play this show, right? And and we play the show, and it's not good. It's like in a basement, and the two guys with the shorts are in some band called, I think they're called like Vampire Pussy, and it was like some electronic band that's real bad. So the show's happening. All the while, Brian is upstairs playing Final Fantasy 1 on Nintendo.
Yes.
And after the show, he's just sitting there playing. We're all like trying to crash out. All the cars are leaving from the front yard. They get stuck in the rain. It's like raining. They get stuck in the yard or whatever. And one of the dudes is like, "Hey, can you come help?" And Brian was like, "Oh, fine." And he like throws the controller or something. He's like, "Bump." And he goes help. And he finishes. We leave. 2 days go by. We're passing back through this town on tour. We have like a ton of time to kill. I think Brian's driving, and he just brings us back to this house. And he's like, "Hey, can I finish that Final Fantasy game?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, come on in." So they let us in, and we just sit there like watching them play. I think some people go eat or something. But that's like a fun story. That I don't know, such a weird night, such a weird thing. God. It's not, I mean, that's not like some extravagant like, oh, some people busted it on us doing coke and something. We had to fight somebody. But it's like, yeah, Brian played video games at the dude's house, and it was weird, and then we did it
Yep.
again.
No,
Yeah,
that is. I mean, that feels very emblematic of what it must be like to be on tour with Val.
yeah. It's silly.
Until Brian starts booking second and third shows per day.
Dude, yeah. We're trying to get a full-on breakfast show to happen, but I don't think an official one has happened yet. But we're
Yeah,
trying for like we've done 3 shows in a day, but none have been like the breakfast show, which is like something to work towards.
we've definitely been like in Oakland. We've been kicking around that idea for a long time. We should probably try and make that happen next time you guys are
Yeah,
out this way
that'd be cool.
in 2024 or something like that.
Yeah, for real. Are y'all trying to book anything for next year? Are y'all like
Oh
talking
God,
about that at
no,
all?
no,
No,
I
not
don't
not
think.
thinking about it.
Well, we're recording this today on November 19th, and California is talking about going back into lockdown.
Right.
So
Yeah.
now that's the last thing I think on anybody's mind right now. We're all just trying to get through this and minimize the amount of death
Yeah. Well, we are getting hit up for like festivals in Europe at the end of next year. And
Yeah.
I'm like, look, we can book whatever you want, but the chances of this actually happening are slim to none. So I don't want to
Yeah.
get our hopes up, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah. I saw some European acts announce shows for next November, like November 2021, a year from
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Which
Which,
fingers crossed, but I still feel like it's going to be too soon.
yeah, I just wonder, like, if you wait too much longer, everything's going to
Hmm.
get booked through 2022, and then
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you,
That's what they're saying. They're like, just book it, and then if it happens, you have it. And it's like,
there you
yeah,
go.
you're right. There's no harm in that.
No harm in that, as long as we are all being safe and
Yeah.
protecting our elders as much
That's
as
the
we
plan.
can. Yeah,
That's right.
Mitch, this is awesome. I'm so glad we got to catch up. Thank you for taking the
This is
time.
so fun, man.
Awesome.
Thank you for asking me.
You gonna throw up that shirt? Maybe auction it off for some bail relief funds or something for a good
Yeah, I
cause.
mean, if anybody's interested in a very poorly handmade Kowloon Walled City shirt, hit me up. All the funds will go somewhere cool. All $6.
All right. Apart from the new Thou and Emma Ruth Rundle record, what else are you guys trying to? What else do you have to promote?
Uh, Matthew and I started another band with some people, and it's going really well.
Cool.
We
What's the
don't have
name?
a name yet, so
Okay.
that's the thing. If you got any ideas, man, text me, hit me up. We've been trying, but we've got like 9 songs written, which is very fun. It's been super cool to do, and he'll be singing on that, which everybody loves Matthew singing, so that's
Hell yes.
exciting. Uh, Aside from that, my show Big Garden, Instagram, TV at Mitch Wales, like the animal. That's what I've been doing to keep me busy, and which has been really. I need to have you guys on there. I've been getting
So,
like bands to do their version of the ABCs. It started as a joke, but now it's been like a cool thing to see different bands do their like just play whatever you want, but it's got to be like ABC involved.
yeah,
I need to hit you guys up for that.
let's make it happen, man.
Yeah, for sure. But that's it.
Cool. What was Mitch's solo project that he dropped a couple years ago? Because I don't think people understand Matthews. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Rhea Sylvia.
That's right. That shit was
So
tight.
that,
I don't think people
yeah,
realize what a talented musician that kid is.
dude, he's incredible.
Yeah.
That was a band actually he and I were doing together before I moved to California, and then
I
he
didn't realize
recorded.
that.
Yeah, but he recorded it solo, like acoustic guitar. But all of
Yeah.
that eventually became Val's album called Rhea Sylvia,
Yeah.
that Matthew just wrote and we like reimagined in Val style. But yeah, dude, Matthew's so sick.
Super cool. Well, I'm excited to hear that stuff when it comes out. No matter what you end
Cool.
up calling it, that'll be great.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. Take care. Be safe.
Dude, thank you.
And
Good
love
to see
to
you.
all my Louisiana family.
Yeah. Say what's up to everybody out there for me.
I will. Take care, brother.
All right, bye.